Taking inputs coming in to dive into our top segment. This is with regards to One Nation, One Election. In fact, we are learning that the JPC for One Country, One Election is going to now launch a website for the public to give their feedback. The website will give access to public to give their opinion on the bill on the whole. This is the big movement that now has arrived. In fact, there has also been a ruckus in the parliament with regards to One Nation, One Poll. But let's quickly go across to Payal, who will share more inputs on that bit. Payal, give us a sense of what can we expect from this website, first of all, as far as the public's own opinion with regards to One Nation, One Poll is concerned.
Taking our audiences back to the day on which the bill was really passed by the Union Cabinet, Akanksha, the instructions from the Prime Minister were very simple, that wide consensus needs to emerge from this, and public are the biggest stakeholder as far as this bill is concerned and its impact as well. So that's something, of course, is what the committee has been able to understand as well. Remember, in the JPC for the Waqf Amendment Bill, also public opinion was sought, and you saw huge communication come in. 90 lakh plus emails came in, 98,000 plus physical communication came in. But the One Country, One Election, since it's going to be a long drawn process, they've decided to launch a website. That website will be, launched and will go live shortly. That will allow public to, in fact, give in their opinion as far as the bill is concerned. And nobody needs to get really confused. If you want to give your opinion about the entire bill, that's also allowed. If you, for example, want to give your opinion on a particular clause of a bill, that option will also be available. So public feedback is going to be sought as this. And just remember, Akanksha, legislation which is actually going to change the entire electoral scenario in this country, the electoral role, routine in this country is going to be changed. And that's the reason the government is expecting a lot of public feedback to come in, especially from the youngsters. So taking into mind and taking into account of the fact that the Prime Minister has always spoken about the need to have development and as well as, consensus and technology in place, that's the reason AI tools will be used to examine the feedback that is given by public so that they can scan any number of communication that was really available. In the Waqf Amendment Bill, the Secretariat, honestly speaking, struggled to, go through the emails and go through the physical representation that were received by them. But this is not going to be the case in this website. So a progressive looking website has been formed. The details from MyGov and of course the data from MyGov will also be used as far as this is concerned. So public can in fact give in their opinion in whatever fashion it suits them, so that they can actually decide if they want to speak about every clause. There are multiple clauses to which people may have objection. They can express their opinion either ways. And that website is expected to go live soon because it's going to be expected to be the website is going to be launched within the committee meeting itself in some time from now.
And when you're saying that, there will be a consensus which will be taken from the public, what can we now expect as far as drawing that entire consensus is concerned? Will it be incorporated as well?
That definitely will be incorrect. Public opinion is going to be the most important one. Akanksha, they are the biggest stakeholder as far as this process is concerned. Eventually, it all boils down to the voters as well. But this is just the beginning of this committee. This is a very, very big committee consisting of 42 members, and 2 other members have been added to it as special invitees. They have to give in their opinion. Various stakeholders are expected to be invited. Today, Ranjan Gogoi is speaking in the committee just as we talk right now. Earlier, Lalit, another former Chief Justice of India, had also deposed before the committee. The committee's term is only up to the first day of the last week of the ongoing session. But we're expecting some addition to really happen in terms of the time given to them, because this is a widespread consequence. This is a legislation which is going to have widespread consensus, and that will be required as well. And that's something which they're going to do. Already you've seen the BJP leaders reaching out to various strata of society, whether it's to the industrialists or to the students on the whole, with the merits of the bill. That kind of consensus is expected to emerge. In the coming days, the committee is also likely to summon the Ministry of Education and ask the Ministry of Education to spread awareness about this through debates and discussions in schools and colleges as well. So that kind of emergence of consensus is most mandatory. Politically speaking, the numbers are also going to be important because the BJP and the NDA at this point in time do not have 2/3 majority in the parliament to pass the bill, which is constitutional, which means we need 2/3 majority. But the government is very sure that at the end of the entire process of scrutiny, several people, including people in the opposition, will come on board and realize that this bill is largely in the interest of the public.
But, Payal, sources are also indicating that in the committee meeting for former Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi has also defended the One Nation, One Poll bill. He has argued that Parliament has the right to make the legislation. It can also be done as per the constitutional framework. So is this now, also a, further validation for the entire bill?
Yes, it's going to be extremely important because he's given an opinion, and Lalit, the former Chief Justice of India, had also supported the bill, essentially saying that this is a forward-looking bill. This is what the need of the hour really is. Although he has suggested that the bill should be brought in phases, and people shouldn't be left stunned at once. But what Mr. Gogoi has essentially said is what sources are indicating to us. He said that Parliament has the right to make laws and parliamentarians have the right to implement laws as well. That's something which is part of the Constitution. As long as this bill falls in the realms of Constitution, it should be valid. But the most important fact that he's actually said, and which you must tell our viewers, he has said that the idea of the government of the day is not to infringe on the right of the people to vote. It's not curtailing the right to vote. It's just bringing in a system to vote so that the timing can be decided, so that polls can happen together, so that focus can happen on governance. That's a big point that Mr. Gogoi has been able to say, that there is nobody who's trying to curtail anybody's right to vote.
All right.
It's just that timing is being decided in a manner that you can actually vote at once and save the rest of the 5 years for governing for the people.
Many thanks to you, Payal, for bringing us all those latest inputs on that news. In fact, we now shift focus over to the Rajya Sabha, as a massive ruckus has taken place in the Rajya Sabha. This over Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge's remarks for the chair. Kharge has accused the chair of not allowing him to speak and used the word "thokenge," alleging dictatorship by the chairman. JP Nadda has slammed the LOP for using objectionable language for the chair and condemned the Congress party. BJP has said that the language exposes the real mindset of the Congress party. Kharge later even apologized for his comments, saying that his remarks were directed towards government's policy and not towards the speaker. Listen in to the reactions.
क्या डिक्टेटरशिप हो गया? मैं आपसे हाथ जोड़ के विनती कर रहा हूँ
को अनुरोध कर रहा हूँ, माननीय दिग्विजय जी को बोलना है।
नहीं, मेरा बोलना है। हम बोलने के लिए तैयार भी किए हैं और आपको क्या क्या ठोकना है ठीक से ठोकेंगे।
बहुत ही दुख की बात है कि आपने अभी लीडर ऑफ द ऑपोजिशन, अभी जो उन्होंने भाषा का उपयोग किया और चेयर पर एक्सपर्शन किया है, यह अति निंदनीय है, अति निंदनीय है। दिस इज कंडेमनेबल, दिस इज टू बी कंडेम्ड बाय वन एंड ऑल, इंक्लूडिंग द LOP. He should condemn and he should apologize.
संवैधानिक पदों का अपमान, यही बन चुकी है कांग्रेस पार्टी की असली पहचान। जिस प्रकार की शब्दावली मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे जी, नेता प्रतिपक्ष राज्यसभा, ने चेयर के प्रति इस्तेमाल की राज्यसभा में, ये कांग्रेस की एंटाइटल्ड मानसिकता और अपने आप को परिवार तंत्र को संविधान तंत्र के ऊपर मानना, इस मानसिकता को दर्शाता है। और ये कोई पहली बार नहीं है। आज सवाल बनता है कि क्या मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे जी माफी मांगेंगे? उनको अनकंडीशनल माफी मांगनी चाहिए, कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
All right, let's quickly go across to Pallavi, who will share more inputs on that news story. Pallavi, take us through what is the apology that has come in from the Congress chief, especially when that he's claiming that he's very much tendered in his apology, and why isn't the BJP now getting pacified?
Well, it's not 100% apology which came in from the Congress president and the LOP in the Rajya Sabha, which is Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. So the whole issue began during a discussion on the education policy, and that is when Mr. Kharge stood up, and at one point of time when he was being heckled, he responded by saying, and we heard what he had to say, ki hum thokte rahenge. The objection came into the unparliamentary word which was used by him according to the BJP, and that is where the demand was made from him, that he was disrespected other MPs as well as the chair. He did apologize, but he only said, I apologize to the chairperson, but not to the government, because I'm going to hold the government accountable. And not just that, if you notice, one after another, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge has kept on tweeting and retweeting and putting out and the same post or the words he used inside the Rajya Sabha. Well, for the BJP, this is yet another point that they are scoring against the Congress, accusing the Congress of having scant regard as far as parliamentary principles or the decorum is concerned.
And when it comes to the overall discussion regarding the NEP, has this now given the BJP an upper hand yet again? Because yes, till yesterday the education minister was being accused of being uncivilized, but today we see that the tables have turned.
Well, I mean, see, we have to also understand in the context of the fact that in Tamil Nadu, the elections are around a little over a year away. So, if you look at the Dravidian style of politics, protecting their culture, and if I'm going to specifically talk about Tamil Nadu, Tamil culture, Sanskriti, language has always been the electoral card which has been used by politicians there. Whether it's the AIADMK, whether it's been the DMK, all of them have spoken about preserving the Tamil culture. So therefore the NEP or the three language formula is being used by the DMK to assert this kind of Dravidian pride, and that's the reason they would certainly want this issue to be kept open. The BJP is reading it in another way. The BJP says we're not imposing Hindi. All that we want is that people of every state develops, and if Hindi is an additional language which people of Tamil Nadu can learn willfully, then why not? And that is where we are seeing the crossfire between the two sides.
And when you're talking about that entire crossfire, in fact, Pallavi, we're going to request you to continue staying with me. Let's also play out that reaction that's come in from Mallikarjun Kharge, and then I'll come back to you.
क्या डिक्टेटरशिप हो गया? मैं आपसे हाथ जोड़ के विनती कर रहा हूँ
को अनुरोध कर रहा हूँ, माननीय दिग्विजय जी को बोलना है।
नहीं, मेरा बोलना है, हम बोलने के लिए तैयार भी किए हैं और आपको क्या क्या ठोकना है ठीक से ठोकेंगे।
बहुत ही दुख की बात है कि आपने अभी लीडर ऑफ द ऑपोजिशन अभी जो उन्होंने भाषा का उपयोग किया और चेयर पर एक्सपर्शन किया है, यह अति निंदनीय है, अति निंदनीय है। दिस इज कंडेमनेबल, दिस इज टू बी कंडेम्ड बाय वन एंड ऑल, including the LOP. He should condemn and he should apologize.
All right, let's quickly go across to Udit Raj of the Congress Party, who's joining me on the phone line. Mr. Raj, do you think that all boundaries have been crossed today, and is the apology that's coming from the Congress chief not a half-hearted apology?
See what happened, the Treasury bench is creating a ruckus in the House, which is very surprising, and it is their duty to manage the floor. Instead, managing the floor, they are not allowing opposition to express their genuine issues. So what to do? For a long time, the parliament functioning has been very, very erratic and unbecoming, and real transactions are not happening.
But does that justify that kind of language that has been used by the Congress chief himself?
But in the heat of the moment, such things happen when the chair is not allowing him to speak, and he's being heckled time and again. And most of opposition speakers, and particularly Congress speakers, are not allowed to speak.
Stay with me, Mr. Raj, stay with me. I'm also joined in by Shahzad Poonawala of the BJP. Shahzad, if you heard what Udit Raj is saying, he's saying that he was being heckled because of the ruckus that was being created, and that it was the heat of the moment that led to the use of such unparliamentary language.
संविधान का अपमान यही कांग्रेस पार्टी की बन चुकी है पहचान. कांग्रेस does not believe in संविधान तंत्र, they believe in ठोक तंत्र, they believe in परिवार तंत्र. You remember Rahul Gandhi said, I'm fighting Indian state. Now one of the steps is that they want to ठोको, they want to kill the leadership of the country, and therefore this is promoting violence, and this is not the first time. Haven't they insulted the chair when they mocked him and mimicked Jagdeep Dhankar? Haven't they said that President Murmu is boring and a poor lady, evil mindset? Haven't they insulted the Prime Minister's chair saying Hitler ki maut marega Modi? Haven't they said that the chair is a bonded labor? Haven't they labeled the ECI Kutta? Haven't they called judiciary all kinds of names? Haven't they said Sadak ka Gunda for the Sena? So there is a long history of Congress insulting the constitutional positions because they put Thok Tantra and Parivar Tantra above Lok Tantra. This is not slip of tongue. This is slip of character. Mr. Kharge, by the way, has used Ravan, poisonous snake, Sanatan Bad Jayega, Sanatan Bimari, all these kinds of words also for our institutions. So therefore, this is a part and parcel of the DNA.
Many thanks to you, Shahzad, for sharing your insights with us and for sharing your perspective. Let me quickly go back to Pallavi on that note. Pallavi, we heard that, clearly this kind of unparliamentary language and that apology, which seems clearly to be a half-hearted apology, is given the BJP today much ammunition to attack the Congress party, which has not just now labelled them as being anti-national, but also as a party which disrespects the sanctity of various institutions as well.
I think these words are likely to be expunged from the record of Parliament, but I don't think it's going to be expunged from the memory of the BJP in terms of attacking the Congress. And we just heard what Shehzad had to say. There have been many occasions in which Mr. Kharge's comments, which have been, kind of landed the party into trouble. And more than that, politics is really, Akanksha, all about perceptions. You start building up a perception about the Congress as a party which is two-faced. On one hand, it talks about Samvidhan खतरे में है. On the other hand, it does not even show the kind of respect which constitutional or parliamentary democracy requires. For example, you have every right to criticize the government, you have every right to raise a point of order, but there's a language and a decorum which needs to be followed. And I remember Congress has often accused the BJP of doing so as far as inside the parliament is concerned. So today the BJP is showing the mirror to the Congress, and they're saying, look at someone who holds a responsible position, look at the kind of words he's used. Even though Mr. Kharge has apologized, he's refused to apologize to the BJP or to the government. He has apologized only to the chair, and that is clearly not enough as far as the BJP and the government is concerned.
Many thanks to you, Pallavi, for sharing those inputs on that news story. And with that, we now shift focus over to a debate that's grabbing national headlines as the RSS National General Secretary Dattatreya Hosable has stoked the India versus Bharat debate. He is questioning as to why institutions like the Reserve Bank of India and the Constitution of India still carry their colonial era names. Hosable has made a strong pitch for using Bharat over India, citing Prime Minister Modi's Republic of Bharat reference during the G20 dinner in the year 2023. He linked English dominance to a colonial mindset. The RSS leader has further slammed the left liberal historical narratives for misrepresenting history and has called for an intellectual reset. However, the opposition has hit back, accusing the Sangh of attempting to rewrite history. Jammu and Kashmir's Chief Minister Omar Abdullah has reacted, saying that whoever wants to call this country by whatever name, he can call it. Let's also listen in to the various voices.
G20 के निमंत्रण में अभी जनवरी 26 को प्रधानमंत्री ने राष्ट्रपति निवास पर भोज के लिए निमंत्रण में इस बार प्रधानमंत्री अपने जनवरी 26 तारीख के कार्यक्रम के लिए संगीत के कार्यक्रम के निमंत्रण में रिपब्लिक ऑफ भारत ऐसे अंग्रेजी में लिखा, क्योंकि भारत के नाम को इंडिया ही कहना चाहिए. वो इंग्लिश में इंडिया है और भारतीय भाषा में भारत है. क्या ऐसे हो सकता है इस दुनिया में कहीं? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया भारत का संविधान, रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया भारतीय रिजर्व बैंक. हर जगह पर ऐसे क्यों करना पड़ रहा है? प्रश्न उठना चाहिए. इसको ठीक करना ही पड़ेगा ना. देश का नाम भारत है तो भारत ही कहो, और एक इंडिया है क्या और एक क्या.
That is RSS mind. They are always thinking like that. Bharat, they don't want India. They want to leave Bharat. That's why they're years and years back, long years back, they want to cut the India. They only want to remain the Bharat. So this is their ideology and also their policy and also their line. So the people of India is not accepted this.
We call it Bharat. We call it Bharat, we call it India, we call it Hindustan. हमारे 3 नाम है ना. आप जिस नाम से पुकारना चाहें आप पुकारें. वज़ीर आज़म साहब के जहाज़ पे भारत भी लिखा है, इंडिया भी लिखा है. इट्स कॉल्ड द इंडियन एयर फोर्स, इंडियन आर्मी. लेकिन हम भारत के हवाले से भी बात करते हैं. जब हम सारे जहां से अच्छा गाते हैं तो क्या कहते हैं? अलग नाम है. आप जिस नाम से पुकारना चाहें आप पुकारें.
Let's quickly go across to Madhuparna Das, who's been tracking that story for us. Madhuparna, tell us, how is this entire push now also being seen as the othering of a non-Hindu?
Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes.
So, Dattatreya Hosabole's remarks actually reflect RSS's campaign, which is not a new campaign. It has always been there,
yes,
but they are now intensifying the campaign to mainstream the word Bharat over India, and which is apparently a shift that has been increasingly being seen now in government decisions from the use of Bharat in G20 documents to the renaming of the Indian Penal Code to Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So, however, officials have indicated that such changes will not be applied retrospectively, but by sharpening this debate, Dattatreya Hosabole, he is reinforcing the Sangh's long-standing ideological position that true independence is not merely political but also cultural and linguistic. And the push for Bharat over India is part of a larger vision to restore what the RSS views as the nation's authentic identity, and they call it decolonization of mind. And this is rooted in its civilizational heritage rather than colonial legacy. He also took a dig at the left liberal historians, accusing them of distorting Bharat's past by portraying its rulers as oppressors rather than guardians of an indigenous civilization ethos.
All right, many thanks to you, Madhuparna, for sharing those inputs and for adding perspective to that entire news story. And with that, we are slipping into a quick break. We'll be back with the latest news and updates. Stay tuned to Nation at 5.
जहाज में बड़ी बड़ी
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
My government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy, to create new trading relationships with reliable trading partners, and to secure our borders. There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect. The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life. In America, healthcare is a big business. In Canada, it is a right. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look, we didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win. So Donald Trump thinks he can weaken us with his plan to divide and conquer. Pierre Poilievre's plan will leave us divided and ready to be conquered. Because a person who worships at the altar of Donald Trump will kneel before him, not stand up to him. I know that these are dark days. Dark days brought on by a country we can no longer trust. We are getting over the shock, but let us never forget the lessons. We have to look after ourselves, and we have to look out for each other. We need to pull together. When we come together, we build things that last because we are Canada strong. Vive la Canada! Merci tout le monde.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
My government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy, to create new trading relationships with reliable trading partners, and to secure our borders. There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact.
Welcome back. We're getting in breaking inputs with regards to the hijacking of Jafar Express, which remember was traveling from Balochistan on its way to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, has been in fact hijacked, and we are now learning that Pakistan's army has sent its soldiers and medics to the hijacked Jafar Express train in Balochistan. We are also learning that as far as the BLA, which has claimed responsibility for this hijacking, has also released a statement, and they have also taken hostages. As far as the Pakistani security personnel are concerned, they've been taken hostage by the BLA. And now what we can tell you is that Pakistan's army has sent soldiers and medics to the hijacked Jafar Express train, which has been hijacked in one of the districts in Balochistan. Let's quickly, in fact, bring in Sushant Sareen over there. Sushant, first of all, I'd like to also take your inputs on how this is going to be a very complicated operation for the Pakistani army, given that the terrain is extremely difficult over there. So what can we now expect expect as far as all those soldiers and medics reaching this hijacked Jafar Express is concerned?
Look, it entirely depends what the insurgents are going to do. Are they going to be holding on to the express and then going in for a firefight with the Pakistani soldiers? The Pakistanis do have certain capabilities, including with their special services group, the SSG commandos, who have been trained to handle situations like this. Now, the Baloch insurgents might want to take a few hostages and then melt away and hold those hostages for further negotiations. They might even execute a few of their hostages who they believe are members of the Pakistani security forces or Pakistani administration officials, or even Punjabis for that matter, because they have a major grouse against the Punjabis.
Right.
So one is that. And if they melt away, then of course there'll be some kind of a manhunt launched. But like you said, the terrain is such that it's not going to be easy to apprehend these people. So it depends on what the calculations of these guys are. It is entirely possible that they might decide that they'll dig in their heels and fight to the finish, which means that there will be a lot of casualties during that firefight, or at least there is an apprehension that there will be a lot of casualties.
On that note, I'm going to request you, Sushant, continue to stay with us. Let me also bring in Siddhant, who's been tracking that story for us. Siddhant, first of all, take us through that entire statement that's been shared by the BLA. What are they saying, and what more information can you share with us with regards to the entire operation now that's being conducted by Pakistan's own army to rescue these security personnel?
Well, Akanksha, as we have been reporting from quite some time, in fact, Manoj Gupta has also been reporting on it, that how there is anger in Baloch rebel groups and in that entire region against the army generals of Pakistan for being hand in gloves with China, because that particular region feels that the resources are being snatched away from them and they are not the beneficiary of all the development that are being carried out by the Chinese government. So this was brewing up from quite some time. In fact, a senior parliamentarian in Pakistan did take up this issue in the parliament, for the first time, exposing Pakistani army in front of the country by saying that the Baloch rebel forces are more influential than the Pakistani army, and he in fact said that it's a matter of national security. And look, now today we are getting to know that 450 people are hosted. Where is this train? The entire Pakistan intelligence setup is failed to locate this missing train. And in fact, the Baloch rebel forces have also threatened the Pakistani government and army that if they dare to take any military action against Baloch forces,
right,
then they are going to execute these passengers. So it's a very, very critical time, perhaps the biggest ever national security crisis like this for Pakistan.
Siddhant, stay with me. Going to request you and Sushant also to continue staying with me. Kamar Cheema is in fact joining me as well on the broadcast. Mr. Cheema, what details can you share with us? Any information that you're picking over there from Pakistan at the moment as we speak? But I'm sure you'll agree that this is one episode which has brought the entire Pakistani army on its knees, given the kind of threat that we are seeing come from the BLA. They've in fact demanded that aerial bombardment be stopped immediately as far as the entire Balochistan province is concerned. How will the Pakistan army now choose to react? Much will depend on that as well.
Well, Pakistan has been fighting these BLA, Baloch Militant Organization, Bajid Brigade Group, TTP. And remember, the Pakistani army soldiers, they have laid their lives for this country. And let me tell you, nobody can bring the Pakistani army on the knees. Nobody can bring Pakistan on the knees. Let me assure you. And the world recognizes this. This is the first thing. Secondly, this question that what the Majid Brigade, the Fadayan group has done, Obviously, this is something new which is coming. The reports are still pouring in, and because what they are saying that we have hundreds of people with us, but this Jafar Express, which was traveling from Quetta to Peshawar, and it was carrying civilians, unarmed, innocent civilians. And how can unarmed, innocent civilians be kidnapped, hijacked? This is something. This is a case where I
But they are
think we all
claiming
need
that
to.
they have released the women and the children. That's what they are claiming in the statement.
This is to get a soft support from the media, remember, obviously. But at the same time, the most important point here is that these terrorists who have been eliminated in the past, and just yesterday, Pakistan was telling the international community, our permanent representative at the UN was telling the international community at the UN Security Council that the Afghan Taliban or the Afghanistan is hosting these TTP and the Baloch militant organization, and the world needs to take an action. So as long as Pakistan's government is concerned, and this fake news that came from the BLA that the military personnel are have been kidnapped, this is wrong and fake news. But yes, we have yet to get the more information from the government. But remember, the BLA kidnapped people before. They stopped people. They brought people out of the buses. They killed them. They checked their ID cards in the past. And if someone is from Punjab, they did kill the Punjabis in the
Chima,
past.
what is the basis of this information that you are right now sharing, that this is fake news, that security personnel are not currently in their custody?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, this was a civilian passengers train. This was not a military train. So how come a train which is carrying 400 people from Peshawar to Quetta, which is a normal train, can carry hundreds of passengers? Because the military convoys travel in their own security. When the military travels, let me tell you, when the military travels, the military doesn't travel in civilian trains. They have their own.
Okay, stay with me. Stay with me, Mr. Chima. Let me also bring in Mateen Haider, who's also live on the broadcast. Mr. Haider, how do you respond to the information that Mr. Chima has just now shared with us? He's saying that this is fake news only to gain sympathy from the media. This propaganda is being done, and that there's no evidence to back the claims by the BLA that they have over 100 Pakistan security personnel in their custody.
Yes, well, thank you so much for taking me into the broadcast. The information which Dr. Kamar Chima has shared, I also received the similar information. There was a post statement claimed by BLA that they have taken hostage, but this statement turned out to be a fake one because that has been investigated initially. And right now, where this incident has taken place, it is a difficult area, and ambulances and other rescue persons and machinery is yet to reach due to the difficult terrain. So, Mr. Chima, I was listening to Mr. Chima's analysis. So it's very easy. It's very easy to make claims. Since they have social media, they can spread lies immediately just to create more. And earlier, I was also listening, the Pakistani security forces have never surrendered, have never come to their knees. They are fighting it with full force.
Right.
And this fight will continue. This fight will continue.
All right.
Exactly.
No, but what is going to be the cost of this fight that you're talking about, even if it has to continue? They certainly have some people in their custody, even if they are not security personnel. What is the cost of this entire operation then? I'm going to bring in Amzad Ayub Mirza, who's a Baloch activist. Mr. Mirza, how do you respond to this fresh information that's been shared by our guests from Pakistan who are saying that these are false claims being made by the BLA that they have Pakistan security personnel in their custody right now?
Well, I started my struggle as a POJK activist, but now I am also a Baloch activist because our cause is the same. So we are simultaneously fighting for the Baloch cause as we are fighting for the reunification of POJK with India. Now, these people are in denial. They are in shock. Their faces are like they are in stupor. The situation, the current absolutely live situation I'm conveying here is that Pakistan Army's first attempt to rescue their hostages from the BLA has miserably failed, and the Pakistan Army has retreated. There are, according to the BLA sources, about 120 to 140 Pakistan military personnel, including government servants, have been taken hostage. They have been arrested, taken hostage. About 6 to 8 Pakistani army personnel has been killed so far. And
Mr.
BLA
Mirza, the allegation that's coming in is that this is a regular passenger express, and how could
No,
so
it's
many
not,
security
it's not.
personnel, as you are claiming, between 120 and 140 be traveling in Jafar Express?
Well, you see, like Mr. Kamar Chima has got information, and the other gentleman says that he has also received information. Likewise, I have also received information from my sources, which happen to be the Baloch rebel sources, right? They get their sources from ISPR. We are fighting against Pakistani occupation, so our source of information is obviously different and maybe more authentic. So what is happening is that the Pakistan army has been notified that they should not travel in uniform while traveling in Balochistan, because they can be identified very easily if they are wearing uniform.
Kamachima, would you like to respond to that? That they were all in civilian outfits, and that's why perhaps they can't establish.
Well, first of all, let me tell you, the military people, whenever they travel, they have their own commuting process. You remember when Indian military travels in India, they do not travel in civilian for their official purposes, one thing. So the military, either they travel on C-130, they travel on their special, the convoys travel, they don't go this way. But yes, how you have to amplify your news, how you have to amplify your message. You amplify your message by saying, look, we killed the Pakistani military, we killed the people, we have made them hijack. So that's why CNN News 18 and Indian media, this is highlighting the story. So how you have to highlight?
Mr. Chima, I don't think it would be fair to accuse the Indian media of covering the story, because an entire passenger express has been hijacked
How
at the
Indian
moment.
media will give value to this story only because if something will be related to Punjab and Pakistani military.
I want to bring in.
Okay, he is a waste of time. Let's move on. This gentleman is a waste of time. I have got crucial news. 3 days ago, in Pakistan, Balochistan Provincial Assembly member Mir Zafar Zahri categorically said while addressing the speaker in the Provincial Assembly that Pakistan has lost the war. They cannot travel inside Balochistan. There is no writ of Pakistan in Balochistan. The writ is of Bashir Zeb Baloch, who is the BLA chief, and Dr. Allah Nazar Baloch. So Pakistan has lost the war. Now it's a situation of dual power. There is dual power in Balochistan, which is now tilting in favor of the freedom fighters. Pakistan has lost the war. All the groups have regrouped and formed Balochistan National Army. Now they are acting in coordination under one army called Balochistan National Army. They held a meeting for 3 days, and BLA, BLF, RPG, and Sindhu Desh Revolutionary Army, they all have come together to fight Pakistan in unison.
Mr. Mirza, I take your point. Let me bring in Sushant Sareen. How do you respond to the point that Amjad Ayub Mirza is currently making, that now, as far as the Baloch army itself is concerned, it's only growing in size, one that is now, in fact, one that's in fact put the Pakistan army itself to an acid test today?
I think that's in many ways it's a statement of fact. It's not just what somebody said in the Baloch assembly. It's what Maulana Fazlur Rahman said. It's what the leader of opposition Umar
many in Pakistan are in denial at the moment.
No, but Maulana Fazlur Rahman said there are 6 or 7 districts where we have no control. This is what the leader of opposition Umar Ayub said. This is what somebody like Rana Sanaullah, who is a former interior minister and a very close crony of the puppet Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, he also said this. He said that, look, there are many areas in which the Baloch freedom fighters can swoop down and carry out whatever they want to do, and we are losing control over Balochistan. These are all people who are on the record. You don't have to take my word or Amjad Ayub Mirza's word for it.
Mateen, would you like to respond to the point that's being made by Sushant?
I would not like to respond, but I got some latest information. According to sources which are close to this entire activity and this particular incident, sources have confirmed that security forces have launched a massive rescue operation. And according to sources, Most of the passengers are still inside in the train. These passengers are civilian ones. They have been made hostage, and efforts are being made to rescue these passengers. Police, paramilitary forces have reached to that particular
Okay,
area.
I'm also joined in by Mehran Mari, who is the head of the United Baloch Army, also a Baloch activist. Mehran, a couple of our guests today on this very broadcast are saying that this is false news, that there are Pakistan security personnel currently in the BLA's control as they've hijacked that entire Jafar Express. Is this information true or false?
Sorry, what you've said is a bit contradictory. What is false news? The hijacking is false news, or the
No, that they have Pakistan security personnel with them.
Yes, predominantly the people on the train are Pakistani military personnel, be it intelligence agents or their baiters or military officials. That is true.
But what is the evidence to back that? Because that is now being refuted by many over here, by the likes of some of our guests over here. I have with me Mateen Haider. In fact, I'm also joined in by Kamar Chima also on the broadcast. Both of them are in fact refuting the information that has come in, that over 100 security personnel are currently in that train which has been hijacked by the BLA.
Sorry, by the likes of people, anybody affiliated with Islamabad will refute this, of course. But I think the reaction of the Pakistani military it speaks volumes. They would never react for civilians. So obviously it's military personnel and intelligence agencies who are on the train. Therefore, they're panicking.
I want to go back to Sushant, but Mehran, what are now going to be are you going to give the Pakistan Army any room for negotiations now?
So who am I to give any room or not to give any room to Pakistani Army? I think Pakistani Army has closed off most of its doors and windows for negotiation.
Why I say so is because I'm referring to the statement that's been released by the BLA, which has called for an immediate halt to any kind of aerial bombardment.
Yes, I think that was their appeal from the beginning. They said if they're going to react unreasonably, then they will take steps accordingly.
Sushant, you wanted to make a point. Please come in.
Yeah, this whole agitation by the two spokespersons of the ISPR who are saying that no Pakistan Army personnel, because Pakistan Army travels in a certain way, just like the Indian Army. They don't know anything about the Indian Army.
By the way, I'm not the spokesperson of ISPR. I'm not the spokesperson of ISPR.
Mateen,
I told
Mateen, I'm going to give you.
They are ISPR people. They are military people.
Mateen Haider, always ignore Sushant Sareen. He's a pseudo-fake Aristotle of India. Ignore him always.
And what about you? What about you?
Ignore Sushant Sareen. He's a pseudo-intellectual.
Who comes on Indian channels as a
I think this is disrespectful.
Please,
I'll have to mute you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Sushant, please go ahead, make your point.
If you can shut them
Obviously, they are the civil society, so-called Indians.
What happens is that, yes, when armies are traveling in convoys, they have a special arrangement to travel. But Quetta is a major cantonment. There is a major security presence out there. People go on leave. And when people go on leave, they don't go on leave in convoys or they don't go in special convoys or special trains. They take the normal transport, which is a bus or a train or whatever. In case there is a security problem, then probably a lot of people will be traveling together. So it is not entirely unexpected that there could be Pakistan Army personnel who will be traveling in this train. So one is that point. So the second point is to claim that the Pakistan Army has never surrendered. There have been innumerable cases where 300 Pakistan Army soldiers surrendered before 20 or 25 Taliban. Right? The whole damn platoon or couple of platoons were taken into custody by the Taliban, and then the Pakistan Army literally had to go on its knees to get all of them released. There are plenty of such
let's not forget the 90,000.
What has happened and what has not happened. The question is that we have to recognize that the Baloch freedom fighters have gained tremendous capabilities over the last few months, and you just need to look at the kind of attacks that have been launched over the last 1 year. The sheer scale of those attacks, the sheer ferocity and intensity of those attacks, the fact that they have been able to carry out a large number of attacks over a massive geography in a coordinated manner as they did on August 26 last year in that famous Operation Hirof, and subsequent attacks, whether on cantonments, whether on convoys, ambushes, all sorts of things have been happening. And the response of the Pakistani state has been the typical response of a kind of a colonial state, which goes and picks up students from universities and then tortures them and kills them and throws their bodies on the streets. That's what they've been doing. There have been documented cases of over 250 students and young people who have been disappeared over just the last 2.5 months, right? This is what has been happening. They've been raiding people's houses, raiding villages. They've been carrying out these kind of operations to try and repress the Baloch. But the more they do it, the more the Baloch are fighting back. And it's become almost like a national movement, which is an achievement of the Pakistan Army. The Baloch are a very fractious people. The Pakistan Army seems to have united the Baloch into a national movement. Now they will blame everybody but themselves. And this is a problem with the Punjabis of Pakistan. They have a colonial approach. They want to grab everybody's land.
Okay, I'm running short of time. So Shant, I'll have to give the other two gentlemen also time to speak. So Mehran, would you like to add to this that the greater the opposition from the Pakistan Army, the greater is going to in fact be the strength of the Balochistan Army, which we can see is now sort of growing in its size and strength?
Sure, I absolutely agree with Mr. Sushant. It's a national movement now. You can call it BLA, you can call it terrorists, you can call it whatever, but it's a national struggle for the liberation of Balochistan, and it's carried out by the Baloch population. Therefore, the intensity is far worse than it was. The reaction is stronger. These gentlemen, girls and boys who are fighting today, this is the Musharraf generation. They were born in that era. They've seen war from up close. They know the reality of our Pakistan Army. Pakistan Army is the same army that surrendered 90,000 in front of the Indian Army.
Quick,
so we're not
30
scared of the
seconds to
Pakistani army.
Amzad, Ayub Mirza. Mr. Mirza, if this is a national movement, then why are they threatening to execute everyone currently who's been hijacked on that express?
Well, I haven't heard about that they are...
Well, it's part of the statement that's been released by the BLA.
Okay, maybe, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the statement, so I cannot make a comment on that. What I would say is, it's not a national movement, it's a liberation movement. Balochistan now is on the verge of achieving their liberation. There's a dual power, balance of power going on in Balochistan for the past 1 month, and now it is gradually tilting in the favor of the freedom fighters. Pakistani army, when they travel, they never wear their uniforms. They are told not to wear their uniforms. And these BLA never ever kills innocent civilians. They never target civil areas where people are gathered for shopping or a school or a mosque. Then that is not how they are. They are highly trained, highly intellectual, and very good in military education. They are trained. They are not like
If we were to
Taliban.
take your word, we do hope that all those who are in their custody are in fact also released, and perhaps there is some room for negotiation as well. Many thanks to you all, gentlemen, for joining in on Nation at 5. And with that, it's a wrap from my end. Thank you so much for watching. Up next is Plain Speak with Poonam.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
My government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy, to create new trading relationships with reliable trading partners, and to secure our borders. There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Yeah. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect. The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life. In America, healthcare is a big business. In Canada, it is a right. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look, we didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win. So Donald Trump thinks he can weaken us with his plan to divide and conquer. Pierre Poilievre's plan will leave us divided and ready to be conquered. Because a person who worships at the altar of Donald Trump will kneel before him, not stand up to him. I know that these are dark days. Dark days brought on by a country we can no longer trust. We are getting over the shock, but let us never forget the lessons. We have to look after ourselves, and we have to look out for each other. We need to pull together. When we come together, we build things that last because we are Canada strong. Vive le Canada! Merci tout le monde.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
My government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy, to create new trading relationships with reliable trading partners, and to secure our borders. There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect.